Hello everybody, today's video is a review on The Fallen Kingdoms, Book 1 by Morgan Rhodes. I actually have like notes now, see? And in here as well. Whoops, sorry about the mariachi music again. They're still playing. They're probably gonna be playing all night. I won't be sleeping with that music going on. Okay, so let's get this video started. I just have notes. Alright, ready? So, the book opens up with a prologue, and I felt like it was very intense, very violent. And the prologue also sets up some of the rules of magic in this book, in this world. I guess you can use magic by killing people, and it just reminds me of the whole all magic comes with a price type of thing, because one of the sisters actually, let me see if I marked that page. I think I did. No, that was about sisters. Anyways, one of the sisters was using magic and she started getting like a bloody nose, and so that's why it reminded me of that line from Once Upon a Time, that all magic comes with a price. And it's only, so these are common witches, and the only people that are born with magic are sorceress. And the sorceress hasn't been born in 1,000 years. And in the prologue, there's two sisters named Jana and Sabina, and they're common witches. And they're going after a child who is born with magic, because Jana had a vision of this child, and this child will be able to control elementa, which is earth, water, fire, and air, so the elements, and that she can use her magic to find the kindred, which are 4 objects that have that magic in them. So that was really cool. However, this book is also, or this prologue also opens with Sabine murdering Jana, and I'm just like, well, family ties apparently matter very little in this world. That's the prologue. And I actually wrote here to take this if I can. So I wrote on this note about the characters. We find out about Sabina, who has some lover, and he apparently is more important to her than Jana, who is her sister. And I thought that was interesting about her. And then in this one, I have so the common witches use something called blood magic, and that takes its toll. Like I mentioned, she started getting a bloody nose, so there's that for magic, which is interesting. Got these two. And in chapter 1, a lot of it is meters. Chapter 1, we meet the characters of Cleo and Aran and Theon. These characters came when I first started the book. Those particular characters, other than Theon, he was the one I liked. I felt like they were kind of selfish and vain, and they came off as jerks, particularly Aran. And in that chapter, there's even more. There's so much murder in this book. It's crazy. Aran, to me, came off as a very crude and arrogant boy who pretty much killed someone for no reason. It's crazy. And I really loved the character of Jonas, who, if I can rip this off, I really want to rip this off. It's not letting me. kind of sticky notes are these? Okay. So, his character who lives in Palasia, I think that's how you say it. And Cleo, Aran, they come from Aranos, and then the other characters come from Lemeros. So there's 3 different kingdoms in this land. So Jonas, he struggles to provide for his family because in Palasia they're poor, starving, their crops are dying. They were promised fair trade because they trade in wine. That's all they can grow in their land is wine, or grapes for wine, by Aranos, and they suffered instead. And so now they only have wine. That's all. They have wine, they have the grapes to make the wine, and they don't have any crops to farm, and they can't hunt in the in Aranos because that's forbidden, and Aranos of course has so many animals, it's overpopulated. So Jonas, he struggles to provide for his family. So did his brother Tomas, who Aran killed. And he actually kind of reminds me of a street rat. He's a street rat type of character. And at the end of this chapter, who is in chapter 2? Let me look. Each chapter is labeled, by the way, by country. Oh no, we're still in chapter 2 is still there. Okay. We're still in Paladia. Anyways, by the end, he wants revenge for Tomas's death, particularly against Aran and Cleo, because I actually forgot to mention Cleo, because he blames them for his death, rightly so. And Cleo, she felt kind of selfish in a little vein. She has some type of secret, which we will learn later, but in this chapter I'm just like, you're gonna let somebody die to protect your secret? That seems very selfish for her, because I know what the secret is. I actually thought she was the baby for a second that Sabina had kidnapped, but she's not. And she actually came across as this like very typical type of princess character to me. She does grow in this book, and I'm sure she's going to grow in the rest of the series. Just to me, at the beginning, she just came across as very blah. And I will say, the characters from Palatia, like Jonas and Tomas, they felt more sympathetic to me. They were just better. Sorry, I have my notes. I'm looking at my notes. And there is I think the Hawks were in that one too. I also have my chapters marked. That was chapter. Here's one. So the wine from Palasia. I'll just read this out to you. It says, Pelasian wine was said to be a drink worthy of the goddess, delicious, smooth, without equal in the underland. Its effects did not lead to illness or headaches the next day, no matter how much was consumed. Some said that there was strong earth magic at work in the Pelasian soil and in the grapes themselves to make them so perfect in a land that held so many other imperfections. So that's something that's interesting about the world, is that the grapes seem to have this magical property to them. And I really love the world building, by the way, in this book. It's awesome. Funny enough that this book is compared to Game of Thrones, apparently, which is a little weird because this is a young adult book. Game of Thrones is an adult book. But anyways, the next chapter we move into, I think, Lemeros. I want to say, yep, we're in Lemeros, and we meet Prince Magnus and Princess Lucia. Magnus is kind of more of the focus in some of the chapters that take place in Lemeros. He feels very unloved by his parents. He hates his father. His father's actually a tyrant. He's called the King of Blood, who you'll realize why he's called that in the end of the story, because he is quite capable of being, or, hold on, I don't know what I'm trying to say. His title is something that made total sense why he was called the King of Blood, to be honest. There's so much blood around this king, it's crazy. We also learned Magnus is in love with somebody, and you're thinking, oh, maybe it's some servant girl or something. Nope, he's in love with Lucia, who is his sister. So at first I'm like, are we doing some weird potential incest thing going on? I'm like, oh no, please no. But then as I was reading, there was a scene with Sabina and the king, and they're talking about Lucia, and I started questioning, like, wait, so could she be, the hint that maybe she's the baby that was stolen? Turns out she is the baby, so obviously doesn't matter if he loves his sister. Technically it's not really incest, but still, I'm like, no, because they were raised together as brother and sister. There's still, that bond is still there. And then obviously this is the king that is her lover that she killed her sister for. And to be honest, I'm like, it didn't sound like they loved each other enough for her to kill her sister for. But yeah. And then another thing I found is that Lemeros, I guess, has also become kind of like a wasteland, like Palasia. However, they're very religious in that land, and even the royals aren't very rich as well, is something that was interesting. And then we see a hawk in the story, and the hawks are people that I guess can change into one. They're called the Watchers, and they're immortal beings. They live in this place called the Sanctuary. And the two are looking for the Kindred, because the Kindred would just save everybody. Because I guess the mortal realm, which is the one that Lemeros and all them are part of, that land is like Mythica. The world's called Mythica. So Mythica is dying, and that's the mortal realm. And the Sanctuary, I guess, is an immortal realm, and even that land is starting to die, which I thought was really cool world building here, guys. Like, you really have to read this book for the building of the world, like the magic, the way these lands work, the mythos. So cool. And they need the Kindred to save the land, which I think is really interesting. So the hawks are the Watchers that can travel to the mortal realm, and that's how they do it. And I guess you can give up your immortality as a Watcher. Okay, let's check that off. I don't know if I want to say all of this though. We meet characters like Nick and Corbin. Nick is Mira's brother, who is Cleo's best friend, and I think he's in love with her. I don't know if it wasn't revealed in this book. I totally called it though. Theon, who was her bodyguard, was in love with her. I'm like, called it. I knew it the minute he was introduced. I'm like, he's gonna fall in love with her. However, he ends up getting killed by Prince Magnus in the end of the book. However, he did have like this sense of duty about him, because he took his guard duties very seriously, so I kind of figured that they weren't gonna be a couple that got a happy ending. And yeah, that was really fun. No, not, but like I said, I called it. And Jonas, I have each one by chapter here, and I don't know if I want to necessarily go through everything, because I'm at like 15 minutes right now. Because a lot of what I wrote was kind of like a summary of each chapter. And I kind of just want to talk about things. So, I put Cleo. Let's see. Oh, so I thought she could be the baby because the hawk was watching her. Or, well, I guess a bird was watching her. And she thought it was like, you know, one of the watchers. But I guess people consider them a myth even though they're real. But again, it's Lucia who is the baby. Again, Sabine was there. It makes total sense. But I actually thought that... Oh, I put Nick and... Yeah, I thought there was going to be a love triangle when Nick and Theon. But again, they killed Theon off before there was ever this idea for a love triangle at all. Yeah. I do have... Ooh, so Jonas, for this book, is on a quest for revenge. And he decides the best way to do that is to go to his chief and to start a rebellion between the kingdoms, because he wants to change the way things are for his kingdom. He wants the wealth and prosperity that Aranos has, that both Limeros and Pelagia don't have. Oh, so King Corvin is Cleo's father, and he apparently believes he's cursed by a witch who loved him, and his curse is to lose all his loved ones because he fell in love with Elena instead of the witch, which I thought was really interesting. A really cool idea. I wonder if that will be in a prequel story type of thing for the world, but I don't know. And apparently traveling by ship is the civilized way, because did I write down how everybody feels about Pelagia? I think I did. Where? Uh-oh, I lost some notes. Wait. Oh, yes. So they have no king, they have a chief with magic apparently, and pretty much everybody thinks they're savages in Pelagia. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Because what, they don't, you know, it reminds me of how the white settlers felt about Native Americans. Oh, they're savages. So I have a feeling that in Pelagia they're not supposed to be like white characters. I betcha they're not white characters. Probably not. I mentioned the overpopulated animals. If you were caught poaching these animals, you get killed. Craziness. And I'm just like, their chief, right, with the magic, I'm like, that's fishy. Pretty fishy, because if he has magic, why is he using it to help his people? Instead of, he takes taxes from them. And I'm just like, because of his magic, they just hand it over to him. Like, he probably doesn't have magic, guys. Probably doesn't have magic. Turns out, he didn't have magic at all. He was tricking them the whole time. It's like, no way he has magic. And Jonas, when he meets Gaius, King Gaius, who is the king of Limeros, he kind of feels iffy about this alliance between his kingdom and theirs, because he's like, well, why are they helping us now? And Corvin even plants the seed further. He's like, he's gonna betray you guys in the end. And he was right, because in the end, Limeros, once they conquered Aranos, like, his feelings of not believing the king were totally justified. It was crazy. What else? I have so many notes. I didn't realize how many notes I took. This book is so cool. And this video is already 20 minutes. It's crazy. So Jonas kind of flip-flops as a character between wanting to get revenge and realizing that it's not important. And by the end of the book, he completely gives up his need for revenge. He decides it's time to take back their kingdom. In order to do that, he has to work with Cleo. I have a feeling that they're gonna become a love or a couple, maybe, possibly. Who knows? Cleo and him. Yeah, I really like Jonas, by the way. There wasn't as many chapters with Jonas as there were with the other characters. Cleo in this particular book had the most. Like, most of the chapters took place with her. I will say that. Besides those, her, Magnus, Lucia, and then Jonas as characters of importance. And how many chapters they had. What else? Oh, remember the secret that Cleo has? So her secret is that when she was with Aran, and he got her drunk, and they had sex. Well, so first of all, this peeved me, because I'm just like, first, he took advantage of you, girl. That's rape. That's totally rape. He took advantage of you. You had no true form of consent. And this is why she doesn't like wine, by the way. She despises wine. And Aran just continuously sexually harasses her. I'm just like, oh my god, I hate this guy. Ugh, I hated Aran. He's still alive at the end of the book, though. I'm like, why? Oh my god. Like, ugh. And that was in chapter 7, when we find out her secret. And I'm just like, had he not been stopped by Theon coming, she probably would have been raped again. I'm just like, oh my god, get rid of this guy. She needs to stab him or something. I'm like, ugh, I hated him. And of course, her father decides to betroth them. Like, no, why? And he pretty much implies that once they're married, she can't say no to sex. There will always be sex. Like, I'm just like, you're disgusting. I'm so glad he wasn't in every chapter. I can tell you that much. I would have thrown the book at the wall, because he is my least favorite character. I don't know if I've ever hated the character more, to be honest, but I hated him. Chapter 8, I actually wanted, okay, so, the chief and the king, they're planning to take over the kingdom of Aranos, and what drives the king to fulfill this plan, because he's been wanting to do this for years, King Gaius, by the way, who is the king of Lameros, is the death of Tomas, because that he's using that to fuel the anger of the Pelasians, and how they're treated. And then, in order to get the chief to go with him, he kills his bastard son. It's crazy. There's so much murder in this book, by the way. Again, another reason for why he's called the King of Blood. Like, you totally see it. And I don't know if we meant, so Magnus has this servant girl he uses pretty much for sex and for secrets and stuff. And I feel like his treatment of her is just so problematic. She's an object to do his bidding. And he can throw her away whenever he wants. It's just terrible. Some of these male characters in this book are quite, like, you know what I mean? The female characters I quite enjoy. Jonas, though, I like Jonas. And Theon, I liked Theon. And Nick, I liked Nick, too. I have a feeling Magnus, well, maybe he's he got potential to change. We'll see. He's also very controlling of his sister's life without her consent. Just like, what's going on here? Why? What if with these two dudes and not Aron and him and consent? They seem to not like it. I hate these guys. I don't hate Magnus just yet, but like he's got a problem with consent too, because that's totally not fair to Lucia. He has no right to control her life. I mean, first of all, just because you're her brother and you have some weird, crazy, incestuous feelings for her, it ain't happening. So, what else? Oh man, I'm at 25 minutes. Craziness. Okay, Lucia finds out she's got magic. Amelia, who's the older sister of Cleo, dies because she's dying of a broken heart. She's literally, Simon, who is Theon's father, they fell in love. He died, and then I guess Amelia made a promise to join him, and that's how she dies somehow. Like, that's crazy. And there's also this really cool, interesting story about two goddesses that Cleo and Nick learn about. So they meet this woman who ends up being the watcher that has the grape seeds that could cure Amelia. And she's an ex-watcher. I guess there was a legend of these two watchers or legend of a watcher. She fell in love with a hunter and had a child, and she had two sisters who stole the kindred so they could have the power, and they became goddesses, and they killed their sister, who was the last great sorceress. She was able to touch the kindred without becoming corrupt, and the hunter eventually found the kindred. He used this special ring, and he hid them somewhere where nobody can find them, because eventually those two goddesses died. I don't know how, but they eventually died, and Cleo's mother apparently has that ring, so she's a descendant of this hunter. So she's not a sorceress like Lucia is, as far as I know, but Lucia is the sorceress that can fix this world and bring the kindred back. Let's see, what else? Oh man, there's just so much. So obviously Aranos is taking over. Cleo's being held captive. Her father and her sister are dead. The chief has been killed. All kinds of craziness. So Lameros, King Gaius, is in charge of all Mythica. Yeah. So that, I have so many notes, and I'm almost at 30. I don't want to take it long for this video. But yeah, this book is so good. I mean, the fact that I have so much written about it is just proving the point. Check this book out. You're gonna love it. It's really good fantasy. I give it an A+. How long did it take me to read this book? Three weeks. I think I read this book in 3 weeks. Give or take certain days. I really enjoyed it. You should check it out if you haven't. It's Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. So yeah, sorry this video is so long. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was a good review. Next time, for my next book review, I will try to keep the notes more condensed and more concise. And the next book will be this one. Bye guys.